Let's get some response to it. Let's bring in Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton. Senator, what struck you as you were listening to the president? Welcome.
Thanks for having me on. Better late than never, but gosh, it sure is late. The president celebrated the sanctions that we're putting on Russia's largest bank. We've been urging him to impose those sanctions since this war started 7 weeks ago. And not just Republicans either. Democrats have been urging him. I've personally been in closed settings where Democratic senators have urged the administration to sanction that bank. Why has it taken 7 weeks? In fact, why are there any new sanctions to announce at all on Russia? We should have thrown the kitchen sink at Russia and imposed every sanction we could weeks ago. Likewise, with the delivery of arms, again, it's better late than never, but it's consistently been late. The administration has consistently been behind the power curve, both in deploying the arms late last fall when Russia's buildup and intentions were clear, and since the invasion occurred. We're still not doing enough to get Ukraine every weapon system they need and get it fast enough, and we are still imposing limitations on what Ukraine can do on its own territory. Russia has announced that their main effort is now going to be in eastern Ukraine, an area called the Donbas. The administration still thinks that Ukraine should not be allowed to strike Russian forces that were occupying their territory the day before this war started. That is the height of folly. You can't win a war on the defensive. You have to win it on the offensive. We have to encourage and aid Ukraine to go on offense to retake its own territory.
Senator Vladimir Zelensky has said that the sanctions were late, that the arrival of weapons were late. Now General Mark Milley yesterday telling Congress that this thing could go on for a long, long time. Here's how he put it yesterday.
But I do think this is a very protracted conflict, and I think it's at least measured in years. I don't know about decade, but at least years for sure.
So we could be at this sanctions game and this arming Ukraine game and watching these atrocities taking place in this nation for years to come. Your response?
Well, John, that's precisely the outcome we want to avoid. We don't want to talk about how long the war will last or how we can end the war. We want to focus on how Ukraine can win the war. And the Ukrainian army is fighting excellently. There are virtually no Russian troops left in northern Ukraine, John. This is where the capital is located, where most people in the administration thought Russia would be able to seize the capital just in a matter of days. Now they have evacuated from the capital and from northern Ukraine. They're concentrating these forces in the east. We need to encourage Ukraine to get on the offensive so they can win the war, precisely so this conflict doesn't drag on for months, much less for years.
I want to ask you about the latest in the Hunter Biden investigation and what the implications are for the president now that we have learned, and Fox News Digital has obtained these letters, these emails, President Biden showing in 2017 wrote a college letter of recommendation for the son of a Chinese executive who did business with Hunter Biden. Here is some of that email that has been obtained, Senator. Jonathan, Hunter asked me to send you a copy of the recommendation letter that he asked his father to write on behalf of Christopher for Brown University. The original is being FedExed to Dr. Paxson directly at Brown. It should be there by Tuesday at the latest, given Monday is a holiday here in the U.S. Let me know, or us know, if you have any questions. Best Eric. We know that the president continues to deny any discussion of Hunter's business dealings with his son. Where does this leave us in all of this, and what are the implications for the president?
Well, I think it reveals that Joe Biden once again was deeply intertwined with his son's business dealings. Hard to imagine that Joe Biden personally knew this young person for whom he vouched to the university president. This was done obviously for his son's benefit as a favor to one of his son's business partners or benefactors, one of whom is already in federal prison. It's just another instance of the troubling pattern of how Hunter Biden and frankly Joe Biden's brother Jim as well have been trading on his public life for decades. We've seen news in recent days as well about the number of trips Hunter Biden took on Air Force Two, not simply as a son going with his vice president father to see the sights, but rather to transact business and conclude multi-million-dollar deals. And if he did it for 40 years when Joe Biden was in the Senate and when Joe Biden was the vice president, why would we think any of that would stop now that Joe Biden is the president? We need to get to the bottom of it here in the Congress, and I'm calling on Democrats to have hearings into exactly these matters.
Senator, you made some news yesterday with a comment that you made about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson that I wanted to ask you about regarding her defense when she was a federal public defender of Guantanamo Bay inmates. Here's what you said yesterday.
You know, the last Judge Jackson left the Supreme Court to go to Nuremberg.
and prosecute the case against the Nazis. This Judge Jackson might have gone there to defend them.
Now, again, she was in the federal public defender's office at that point. She says she didn't get to pick and choose her clients. This really is a matter of due process. And I'm wondering, why make that link between Judge Jackson and the Nazis and the Nuremberg trial?
So, John, when she was in the federal public defender's office, she said that she was assigned 4 cases involving terrorists. But one of those cases she continued to represent when she was in private practice and could choose her own clients. She took on 2 more matters in which she signed friends of the court briefs in which she was advocating on behalf of Guantanamo terrorists. So that is 3 cases in which she voluntarily advocated for the terrorists at Guantanamo Bay, in which she accused American soldiers of committing war crimes. I frankly have no patience for it.